I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. I just wanna get paid, you can have fame. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. Many come and go, this life in this rap game. I move different, ride smooth, time to merge lanes. I just wanna get paid, you can have fame.
Welcome to another episode of the Major Music Lounge podcast. It's your host D Dot, and today joining me is actually going to be Giavonna, and Giavonna is a artist and songwriter based out of North Carolina. And I got a chance to listen to Giavonna's latest single, Hold Me. Now, she actually did an original version of Hold Me and a remix that's a drill remix. And we're going to talk about her inspiration behind creating that song, her journey creating music, and more. If this is your first time tuning into the Major Music Lounge podcast, I like to talk to other music creators, kind of like we're going to talk to Giavonna today about her journey creating music. And if you're interested in getting on a podcast, you can reach out to me on any one of these platforms. It's going to be D._Major Music. If you're on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads, as well as D.MME. I'm on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. If you do like this podcast as well, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, and please hit the like button. It does help this channel. We appreciate all the support we've been getting on the Major Music Lounge podcast as of late. And one of the things I like about this year is it's pretty much been a long streak of shows that we've been doing. I think the last time I didn't do a show might have been in July, because I was actually taking some time away from the podcast. But I mean, other than that, we've been pretty much going strong since around March, February. And of course, around that time, crossed 100 episodes as well. So I really want to thank y'all for that. And it's not possible to continue doing this show without interest from artists, producers, as well as just music fans in general. So thank you for that. Now let's go ahead and get into interview with Giavonna. We're back with our guest today, Giavonna. And Giavonna is actually going to be a singer and songwriter based out of North Carolina. And I got a chance to listen to her recent single, Hold Me. Listen to both versions of it. I really like what I heard. But before we get into the singles, I like to just ask, how you doing first and foremost, and how long have you been a music creator?
I'm doing really good. I've been creating music, really songwriting and just dabbling in that. That was the first thing that I started with. And I started doing that about 6 years ago when I was around 21, taking it more serious and honing in on that.
Was that also when you released your first project?
No, actually, so I started writing because I initially just wanted to write songs. That was it. Like I just wanted to be a songwriter. And as I learned more about the role of a songwriter and the job, I was getting more people saying, well, you got to do more than that. You got to be more than a lyricist to be able to compete. You got to be an artist. You got to be a producer, content creator. You just have to be bringing something more to the table than just a lyricist, unless you just write a song that blows people away and goes viral or hits radio. Then you sort of made a name for yourself. But starting out, you got to be more multifaceted than that. So I originally started out as a songwriter, and that's all I wanted to do. And then I didn't tap into artistry. It's funny because All Your Fault, the other single that I released, that was actually a demo. And I was pitching that record. I had an artist in mind that I was pitching it for. And a lot of people kept hearing it. They're like, this just sounds like you. Like, you should just release this as your own record. And I had no intentions of releasing the record. Um, like that. And they were just like, you got to release it. So I, put it all together. And that was actually my first single, All Your Fault. And that's how I came up. That's how I kind of got into artistry. And that was about, I want to say a year ago. I released that song a year ago.
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. Now, like being a songwriter, and singer as well, like who are some of your influences to kind of, get you into being a music creator?
Or I definitely have to say Michael Jackson. I always say like Michael Jackson and Bruno Mars and like Whitney Houston because their music is mainly clean and it's like the way they speak about love, they still write about it in such a pure, honest way that's almost like unfathomable in today's world. I mean, Bruno still is still doing it. And every now and then you have an artist that comes out with just a great, well-written love song, or they talk about love in a great way. So I'd have to say probably like Bruno Mars, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. As far as just writing, period, it would definitely have to be Rico Love. I'm such a huge fan of Rico Love. Like everything, like I listen to his music because it's crazy because the music that he pushed versus like if you go through his album and just sit and listen to some of the stuff he's put out, it's just well written. It's just well written. And that's his favorite thing to do. He's always talking about songwriting this and songwriting that. So I take a couple notes out of his book. Actually, the ending of All Your Fault can't was heavily influenced by Rico Love and a song that he
Okay.
did. I'm not going to say the name, but it was heavily influenced by him. So I definitely have to say Rico Love, Babyface,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Quincy Jones, just all of them. Neo, I think they're just great songwriters. So I definitely take notes out of each of their books. Every time I just go to sit down and write a song, I'll place their songs beside mine. And I'm like, well, how would this compare? How would this measure up to this song? And I try to write my songs based off that.
Yeah, that's a good list right there. Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Quincy Jones, a lot of good names there. And I feel like, from that era of the 90s, even like the 2000s, when it comes to like R&B music, it's kind of like you said, it's not too many artists that really give you that soulful feeling that can speak on love and relatable things that you can kind of see from your own perspective. And I think we need more of that today. Now, like being a songwriter, and I'm curious to know, like, is there a artist maybe that comes to you that says, "Hey, I got this concept, can you write about it? Can you write a song about it?" Or, maybe it's your own personal experiences that you write about, and it might be an artist, who maybe they have a similar idea and you're kind of like, hey, I got this song. Like, how do you work with the artists that you work with? Because I also noticed you had a placement. Like I checked on, I think you had a YouTube link with a placement that you did for artists as well. So tell us a little bit about the process that you go through as far as a songwriter and finding artists to work with.
Okay, so I've worked with not too many. I've worked with a few artists, mainly indie artists, which I'm not knocking at all. You have to start somewhere. Now the placement itself, we actually had written that a year ago before it came out. I didn't even know if it was going to come out or not. So that happened, and it was a great experience. We did everything. Like he would send me like a concept, like you said, and I was just writing and writing and writing. And then finally, we kind of chopped everything down and eliminated what we wanted in, or what he wanted in the song. And then it came to fruition. So that's kind of how that process goes. Now, with other artists, I'd say the process is more so the same. It's more so because I do a lot of things remotely than actually in studio. I'll like they'll send me a concept or whatnot, and they'll say, "Hey, I've got this song idea. What do you think?" Or they'll send me like a rough little vocal demo, and then I'll just touch it up or change it completely and just see what they think. But when you write a song, it has to fit that artist. So it's like you can't write too much from like your perspective. You have to write like you have to get a vibe for the artist, and it's really hard when you don't know the artist or have a background with the artist. Then you have to go and listen to their discography and listen to what they're talking about and just kind of go from there. And then you can usually catch the vibe, kind of go from there. So that's usually how that process goes, mainly. Uh,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
say it's songwriting.
Yeah, I kind of like see that in a similar fashion as like, music production to some degree. Like, um, you may have an artist that contacts you and say, hey, they want an instrumental with this type of vibe to it, or this might be their style of like hip hop music. Maybe they make like old school 90s hip hop type songs, and we wouldn't want to send them something that's trap, or something that just doesn't fit their ideas. And I kind of see some parallels to working with artists the same way, because it's not necessarily a one size fit all when it comes to verses, songwriting, and then beats with artists as well. Now, switching gears, I noticed also you did an interview. It was actually Tune Epical magazine, and
Mhm.
then also you were on the Proven Knowledge podcast with Anthony Church as well. Shout out to Anthony Church, who was actually
Yeah.
um I interviewed him last week, by the way. But tell us a little bit, because one of the things that I think artists, there was actually an artist that brought this up on a previous episode, but that appearing like on podcasts or doing interviews for blogs or websites, that type of thing. How do you think, as a songwriter, that has benefited you, whether it's other opportunities similar to that, or even maybe gaining more fans around the work that you do? How has that helped you?
I say definitely just as far as like it's more like so exposure. It helps build a fan base. Like ever since I did I think it was the Tune Ethical, uh, the the interview or the write up. When I did that, I posted it on my Facebook page. And like everybody was going crazy, like all my friends and family, they're like, we read the article. Oh my gosh. So it definitely caught a buzz with like my friends and family. And I don't necessarily like chase fame, but if it comes, it comes. I would be more so like what I want to be recognized for is the writing. Like that's where my passion lies. That's where my passion is. Or like I just started producing and making beats. I wouldn't say producer specifically because there's definitely a true distinction between producing and making beats. So I would definitely say as a beat maker, if someone picked up my song and then it went somewhere, and that would I'm more so like the behind the scenes aspect of it. That's what
Yeah,
excites
yeah.
me because I think there's way more longevity in doing things behind the scenes as opposed to being at the front, because the new things, they come and go, they fizzle out. It's just a lot of people, they don't have the standstill to withstand the test of time. So it's more so like if I recognize for like a beautiful song I wrote, that would warm my heart. Like that I'd like to touch the world in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you say, you do the work, you put in the time, then I think everything else will take care of itself. Now, talking also about like you got into making beats. What do you currently use to make beats? Like what software, or do you use any hardware?
I've used Bandlab a lot. And
Okay.
Bandlab, the cool thing about Bandlab is they're always adding new packs, new sounds. So like if you want to put a hip hop with a lo-fi beat or a lo-fi sound, and I mainly use producing loops. I know I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for that, but I don't play any instruments. But I feel like there's so much you can do with loops and one shots. You can just make it work. There's so much creativity in that in itself. Eventually, I do want to learn how to play more instruments like the keyboard and the guitar and maybe the drums. But just mainly those two specifically because those are like huge components in like almost every genre, the keys and the guitar. But mainly just band line.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, don't sleep on, loops. Sometimes they help spark creativity, and you can kind of build from there. And outside of that, I mean, you could still learn, because I mean, I play trumpet, but I never really knew how to play the keys fluently, or as good as I think I should be able to. But I've been producing since what, '06, and I know a lot of other producers like myself, and um, also kind of going back to, what you were talking about in terms of there's a distinction between like beat making and production. And I agree with that a lot in terms of as well. Like I think for me, like beat makers, you might be really good at one particular sound. But
Mhm.
like to me, producers have the ability to pivot and, even with it doesn't necessarily have to be a completely different genre of music, but it could be a maybe subgenre of hip hop. Let's say maybe you are able to produce East Coast beats and you're able to switch and make down south beats. You're able to make West Coast beats. You're still providing, a different sound and being able to work with different artists. As to where if you might be really good at one sound, but you kind of limit yourself to those other opportunities. What distinctions do you kind of see as well, like between being a producer and a beat maker?
I would definitely say the range. Like I said, if you're a producer and you know more, there's more technicalities in production than there are with beat making. Beat making can just be simple one, two, three, and you can just put something together and you have a beat. Whereas production, I feel like there's more time taken in it. There's more intricacies, there's more detail. It just, I mean, I'm not saying that you can't come up with good beats. Like I think I have some decent beats, but at the same time, it's like I feel like you go further with being able to produce, playing the instruments, putting everything together, collaborating with other producers. And I've collaborated with other producers and they definitely help to enhance my beats. So I have noticed that.
Yeah.
So I think the range that producers have, kind of like what you were saying, like going from different genres, being able to do this, being able to do this specifically for different artists, I think that definitely is the differentiation between the two.
Sure, sure. Yeah, and I think you got to start from somewhere, but eventually continue to grow and learn different things, and maybe at some point that person could branch out and do some other projects as well. Now, I noticed also, and I got a chance to listen to "Hold Me," both versions of it. Really like the song, but what was your inspiration behind creating Hold Me? And that was something that was earlier this year or late last year that you released.
Yeah, late
Yeah.
last year.
Okay. Yeah, what where was that inspiration from to create Hold Me?
So so I have to give you a little bit of backstory. So there's a guy, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Eric Bellinger,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he worked with Eric Bellinger, and I've been following this guy. His name is Sequence Clark. I've been following him, and I just reached out to him because he wrote on. My cousin has a friend in like the Durham area, Durham, North Carolina area, and he's an artist. And so I checked some of his credits, and he had this guy on there that kept popping up. So I was like, "Who is this guy?" Because he's an amazing writer. So I pulled him up. Then come to find out, he worked with Eric Bellinger. He got nominated for a Grammy. Like this is like a really like in the game guy. He's written for K. Michelle, T-Pain, Kevin Gates, Jacob Lattimore, all these different people. So I just DM'd him. I was like, hey, I'm a fan of your work. I'd like to collaborate. So then we kind of just stayed in touch and he would just be telling me different things about writing, the music industry. And he was just kind of like, it was just kind of going from there. And so one day he asked me, was like, why haven't you asked me for a feature? Like, why haven't we done a song together? Because I was just hesitant because, he's in the industry. So I was like, I don't know. I just told him, I said, honestly, I don't know if I could afford you. This and third, he was like, don't worry about it. I got you. And so I hit up my friend. I said, this is an amazing opportunity for us. This is a Grammy nominated songwriter. He's in the industry. This will definitely give us a lot of, points in the game. This will be a great opportunity for the both of us. So my friend, he's a producer songwriter. And I said, I just need something smooth, simple, short, just something easy to write over. So he sent me the beat for the slower version of Hold Me. And so I just started writing to it. And I actually had written Sequence's verse, but when I sent it to him with the second verse open, he rewrote it, which is typical because he's a writer himself. So he rewrote the verse and he sung backgrounds on it. And then I actually heard the drill version of the of Hold Me. I actually heard there's an artist named Tony Romiti, and I've been a fan of hers for years, like since I was in high school. So it's been about 10 years. And she put out a drill version over an R&B beat, or yeah, over an R&B beat. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking cool. So there was a producer in Nigeria that I had been in contact with. And I said, hey, I know you're really dope at what you do. You're the only person that I feel like that can do this at the moment that I'm in contact with. Can you make a drill version of this song? And he came and killed it. And so that's how the drill version came about.
Yeah, yeah, I like both versions. Listening to the original, it kind of did give me that almost old school R&B type of feel
Yeah.
to it. And yeah, the drill version is pretty smooth as well. Um, Now, any other plans this year for any other releases?
No, I'm thinking about keeping the catalog where it is for maybe about a year. I may release a video for All Your Fault. I want to focus on just pushing things on social media, specifically like TikTok, have something go viral or sound go viral. Because I've created different versions. Like I've got the drill version of Hold Me. I've got like a reggae, a pop version, a Jersey Club version, EDM and house version of All Your Fault, plus the Afro mix. And the Afro mix actually within a year has accumulated 50,000 streams. And
Wow.
that's great for an independent artist because some don't even scratch 1,000, within a year. So I'm thinking of just pushing. Like I've noticed people have gravitated towards the house and EDM version, which I personally thought the Jersey Club one was going to be the one that kind of, people gravitated towards. That's my personal favorite. But your personal favorite is never the one that people gravitate
Yeah.
towards. So I'm definitely going to try and push stuff on social media. That's just my biggest thing for like the next year. So for the end of this year, going into next year, it's just pushing stuff on social media and just have something out there that people will like and people will love. People can get up and dance too, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And that's amazing. Like, is the social media thing as far as pushing on social media, because that's mainly what I do as well. I do things like that. I maybe also get on playlists that sometimes help me boost, plays and gain more people adding my projects to their catalogs. But do you do any other type of promotion, or you just, push heavily on social media?
I use Omari MC. He's great for independent artists. His fees are very affordable. And to me, it's just like any other marketing campaign. You got to keep putting money into it and pushing it. Also doing like content on your page. Like I plan to get a promo video up for All Your Fault. So I'll have that video there and maybe do like two, three more videos. So as I'm doing marketing campaigns on Instagram, they have those visuals there. And, everything is about like short form content. So I have more content up there. So when people come to my page, they'll see something and then it'll spark the interest and they'll click the link in my bio or
Mhm.
whatnot. So that's kind of like how I'm going about it. I've used OMRMC. I've worked with the Golden Money marketing team and they worked with Dame Dash. They worked heavily with Dame Dash and his artists. So I've used say the Golden Money marketing team, Omari MC, and then just Instagram and Facebook ads. They work great. Like they do wonders. So those are probably the three outlets that I've kind of pushed with marketing that I put money into.
Yeah, yeah. I've used Instagram marketing as well as Facebook as well, purchasing ads, and they've helped me in the past as well. And I think like a lot of music creators, generally speaking, they don't that's not a side they necessarily look at it as far as promoting their music. And sometimes you gotta do different things as far as posting. Sometimes you may have only so much reach, but that's
Right.
what the ads and advertisements allow you to gain is
Mhm.
people that have similar interests to maybe your music. So I think a lot of artists and music creators generally sleep on that. Now, where can our listeners find your music at and find you at as well on these social platforms?
Stream me every streaming platform. I'm actually in the process of switching because I've had issues with DistroKid and Spotify. I know you probably heard the things that have been going on with DistroKid and Spotify, just really unfair with independent, they're just really unfair practices with independent artists. And so I'm definitely probably going to switch. So my music might be down for a while, but it'll be back up. Um, Probably going to go through United Masters or TuneCore. Um, but you can find me at Giavonna, Giavonna. That's my artist name. And just look for All Your Fault and Hold Me. I'm on all streaming platforms. And then you can find me on Instagram. That's my most active uh, social media page that I promote my music on. And it's Giavonna official. So that's
Okay.
where you can find me.
Yeah, go ahead and hit Giovanna with a follow. Check out some of her music, again, available on all streaming platforms. And do you have any shout outs, maybe for like supporters or people that you work with?
Um, Well, I just recently became a part of a group. They call us the Songcraft family, and Rico Love has been hosting these Songcraft sessions where he gets producers and writers together, and they just collaborate for, an allotted time on different songs, different demos to pitch for different artists. And he's been putting these sessions together for the past couple of months, actually. And the only reason I haven't actually attended a session, but he does Zoom calls like on Mondays, and not every Monday, but he does them quite frequently. And he gets you together. You can share your music. It's just everything music goes on in that Zoom session. So I happened to be on one of those calls. Rico Love was there. I got to talk to him and everything. And I've been on there a couple times, and I just happened to be. We were giving out our Instagrams, and they just put us all in a group, and we just share music and just encourage each other. So I definitely say the Songcraft family. It's been great to be a part of that. Markway Abyss, he actually produced the track for Hold Me. I want to give him a shout out because he's been my like songwriting, like he slash producer buddy, like for the past I don't know, a couple years now. And I've just bounced ideas off of him. He's definitely strengthened me as a writer. He's always trying to give me ways to, write things better, or maybe you could have done this better in your production. And he's always giving me little tips and pointers. Sequence Clark, I shouted him out earlier, so I'm gonna definitely give him a shout out because he's helped in just soaking up game and just in writing and just helping me. He's actually done a couple demos for me. He's recorded a couple demos for me, so that's been very instrumental in that process. And I think that's everybody.
All right, all right. Well, Giovanna, it was definitely a pleasure to, have you on the podcast and, I hope to, see more success with you, songwriting, and I look forward to what comes next. And, if you have anything, uh, whether it's, 6 months from now or beyond, feel free to reach out and would love to have you back on again at some point.
Okay, great. I'd love to be back on. This has been really awesome. So I appreciate everything.
Yeah, no problem. You can follow me at d._major music on Instagram, TikTok, as well as Threads, as well as on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, at d.mme. And if you like this interview, please hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the share as well. Like to have interviews like this with other independent music creators. So we upload episodes on Fridays and, stay tuned. Got more interviews on the way. And this has been another episode with D. Dot and Giovanna, and we're out.
Major music.